Բայց պատմում եմ, որ երբ ես ծնվել եմ, ընտանիքի երկրորդ աղջիկն եմ եղել, մեղմ ասած իմ ծնունդը ուրախություն չի պարգևել, հատկապես հորական կողմից բարեկամների շրջանում, իսկ հորական կողմս Գորիսի ավանդապահ գյուղերից մեկից են, որտեղ շատ ակնառու գենդերային այդ խտրական վերաբերմունք կա, բայց կարճ ժամանակ հետո ինձ այնպես հայրս ինձ այնքան շատ է սիրել, ես միշտ իմ ամբողջ կյանքի ընթացքում զգացել եմ, որ իմ հայրը ինձ տարբերում է մյուսներից, շատ է սիրում, ու մինչև հիմա ես դա զգում եմ, բայց երբ ես ծնվել եմ, ինքը ասում են իր շորերը այդպես բարկությունից պատռել է, որ ու մայրս էլ ու հետաքրքիրն է նա, որ այս կողմերի ընտանիքներում, եթե աղջիկ է ծնվում, ուրեմն մայրն է մեղավոր բանի համար, որ սեռի համար մայրն է պատասխանատու, զարմանալի սխալ բան, հետո մի անգամ մայրս, ես դեռ կարծեմ 1 ամսական եմ եղել, ինչ չգիտեմ, այդպես եմ պատմում, մայրս ինձ թողնում է հորս մեծ տատի մոտ, ասում է կպահես ես գնամ ինչ որտեղ, այս տատին սենց առանձին հորս բան է անում, ասում է արի բան անենք, բարբարով ասեմ այդ բառը, հետո կբացա, փուրսվեր դնենք, այսինքն բերանք սնիվար դնենք, հարցերը լուծենք, էլի, այդ նախկինում տենց բաներ դեպքեր եղել է, երբ որ աղջիկներին բարձի վրա շրջել են ու մի խոսքով հարցերը լուծել են աղջիկների։
What is happening in Armenia? Girls are fighting for their life and existence even before being born. The very serious disbalance of sex ratio at birth comes in Armenia as a top 3 countries in the world after China and Azerbaijan. And this is not conditioned only by the factor that Armenia is a post-war country. It is also the socio-cultural concept of boys continuing the lineage, the family lineage and genealogy, also being the hearth of the house, is very, very strongly rooted in Armenian society. Armenia is a landlocked small country and it was part of the Soviet Union before. Under the Soviet Union, the communist ideology didn't really allow any ethnicity, any religion, any Western concept, and apparently feminism was one of these Western concepts. Another aspect of the Armenian life is the sociolingual paradigm, which is very, very strongly rooted. Armenian language is unique in its sense. You know, it belongs to Indo-European family, but it stands alone. And language, and to some people, to this end, the church and religion were the 2 factors they made Armenians survive through the horrors of genocide, which happened at the Ottoman Empire in 1915, that was basically something sacred for them, the language and their religion. In 2001, it happened so that we came up with the idea that we would like to have a separate space for women, especially for young women, who would have that oasis to talk, to critically think, to question some paradigms which are prevailing in the society. And this is how it started. And at the age of 24, we, with my brother, co-founded a grassroots organization called Society Without Violence.
Gender equality was a very important fact for me because I was studying that moment at university. I was studying before that and I always heard, okay, this is women, she can do something like that. This is man, he can do, and it was irritating me all the time. And understanding of gender equality, having equal opportunities was very important for me.
Having this history of genocide and ethnic cleansing just 100 years ago, you would think that this would be the nation which would be open to feel other people's pain, to feel what it is to be marginalized, what it is to be targeted and killed just for no reason, just for belonging to certain ethnicity. So I really do hope that this othering concept would be questioned, and that's why we are investing in critical thinking, that people would question why this concept of othering is so prevailing in our society and why this othering is bringing absolute disaster and destruction and human tragedy at the end, because othering causes genocide, othering causes discrimination, othering causes hatred and violence.
My name is Maria. I'm a photographer from Mexico City. I'm here on assignment for Photographers Without Borders. Society Without Violence works to empower girls and women in a very patriarchal society and also to promote gender equality. And I think the work they have done is fantastic.
When I was 19, I met the staff from Society Without Violence, and then I got integrated into different circles, such as feminist circles, people who were dealing with different gender issues, and this is how it started. As a feminist, I've been threatened a lot during my life. But it's interesting that the threats that were coming from the outside world were not scary for me. But the most probably dangerous and sensitive moment was that when these attacks were coming from inner circles, like family.
For me, feminism is men and women, we are different. We're not the same. And this is what makes it amazing. That we are different, but we deserve the same rights, the same opportunities in life. To do maybe something in two different ways, but the same opportunity to get to it.
Կոնկրետ կարող է թվականները լավ չհիշեմ, բայց կփորձեմ, կարծեմ 2012 թե 13 թվականին էր, մենք որպես ուսուցիչ վերապատրաստողներ ցուցում ստացանք մեր գլխամասից, որ պետք է անպայման մեր դասընթացների ընթացքում խոսեն գենդերային հավասարություն թեմայով անպայման ուսուցիչների հետ խոսենք, դրա համար մեզ հրավիրեցին TOT մասնակցելու, այնտեղ հաբից աղջիկներ կային Լիդա եւ Սոնա, ուրիշ Սոնա, Լիդան եւ Սոնան էին մեր տրեյներները, առաջին անգամ այդ դասընթացի ժամանակ համագործակցեցի հաբի հետ, բավականին հետաքրքիր դասընթաց էր, ես այդ դասընթացում երբ հիմա ինձ հիշում եմ, հետադարձ հայացք եմ ձգում ինձ, ես բավականին կարծրատիպերով այսպես հարուստ, ես այն դժվար մասնակիցներից մեկն էի, դասընթացի դժվար մասնակիցներից մեկն էի, որ անդադ ասում եմ, ոչ կինը պետք է լինի կանացի, ոչ կինը պետք է այսպես անի, ոչ կինը այսպես, մեր կողմերի կանայք այսպես են, անդադ ինձ շատ նուրբ, աղջիկներն ասում էին, Նելի ջան, խնդրում ենք դու ասա իմ կարծիքով, ես կարծում եմ իմ պարագայում, դու մի ընդհանրացրու մեր կողմերին, այսպես, ու հետո ես մտածեցի դրանից հետո, ինչու այդքան ուշադրություն էի ես գրավում, հետո սկսեցի մտածել, ես զգացի, որ ես բավականին այսպես քառակուսիներով եմ մտածում։
When we talk about violence, it is not only about like physical violence. It is also about psychological violence. It is also about economic violence and other types of violence. And if we don't have such kind of violences and we are free of them, then really it is like happy and, I don't know, delighted society who can do whatever they want. We want to empower women, to give them skills, to give them floor in order to show all their abilities and to have the capacity to enter the politics, the sphere where they can make the changes. And during these days, they are learning about the gender stereotypes, what is gender, how the gender budgeting is, and like such kind of like questions. Then what we are going to do the next is going like, what is participation? What kind of participation? We are going to look to the history to see how women were participating, and now what do we need, what skills, what they should do, what are we lack of, and other stuff.
Imagine what would happen if every single woman would start questioning the heterosexual, white, nationalist, religious supremacy, and put it under the loop. The whole system will collapse. For me, it was really important to keep this space for young women who would come, who would question, who would have access to knowledge and ability to critically think and analyze every little aspect, what they are told, what they are basically dictated from home to society.
The first thing that motivates me is people, it's women, it's my trans allies. When a girl, for example, comes to me, be her a student, participant of a trainer, just a person with whom I had some political conversations, when she comes to me and she says, whatever you do matters, it matters to me, I find an incredible source of motivation in that simple thought, for example. I also co-established the Feminist Library where we are situated now with my friend RP. This is a place for feminist knowledge production, for feminist art and activism. Here we have lots of books on feminist and queer studies, as well as from various interconnected fields, and people are welcome to come here and study, take the books and enrich their knowledge, and also self-educate, share their own knowledge with others. It's also a good place for networking because it's a queer space and people are coming here to get new connections, to get some inspiration and encouragement.
Feminism doesn't reject the culture, doesn't reject like the stuff. You can be in your culture, but maybe you don't understand really what is your culture. Maybe you should think about it as some people like all the stuff that they want to be considered as right. They think, oh, it is our culture. No, maybe it is not your culture. I really respect the culture of all people. And the culture is not violence. The culture is not beating women. Never. I don't think so. For me, the Armenian culture is the culture where I live, where my father respects my mom, where she has a role in her family. It is the culture. I hope we will have the society where we can fulfill our dreams and have the opportunities for that. Where if you want to be a doctor, not thinking, oh, I'm a girl, I cannot study more than 4 years, I should marry. So if you want to be a doctor, then, oh, I want to be a doctor and I should be the doctor. That is my future.
In this small country, all of this is happening. We have visited many women, different kind of women, different ages, different professions, and they have all been very successful on what they're doing because of this learning they are all together getting. That the message that I would like to leave here is that we can. That whatever is the problem you're facing, there is another people who's also facing it. You're not alone, you're not the only one, and together is better.
There are always obstacles for women in Armenia, in the most developed countries, and that comes from long gender stereotypes that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to break the stereotypes in order to make it easier for women to be able to be involved in politics, because the obstacles are everywhere. And I always say this to myself: instead of complaining something's wrong, go and fix it.
We know that hate comes from the fear, and fear comes from the ignorance. So we are fighting this ignorance, basically. We are fighting it through working also with the government officials, but what we are doing, and that I'm really proud of, that despite all the hundreds of projects and campaigns, starting from the most rural, remote areas to capital city, I think the biggest accomplishment of our organization is the people. I would like to remain optimistic, and I love my country, and I want, as a women's rights activist and feminist, every time when I see an act of discrimination and violence, I will speak up, because I believe that only through speaking up you can make your country strong and resilient, thriving, an open society without violence.
Վերջերս իսկապես մեր ընտանիքում ծնվեց աղջիկ երեխա, դա մեծ ուրախություն էր, Ես որպես մայր իսկապես ուզում եմ ինքը ապրի այնպիսի հասարակությունում, որտեղ նրա երազանքները իրականանան, ինքը ինչ երազի, ինչ ցանկանա, ինչ մտքով անցնի, ամենախելահեղ ցանկությունն անգամ ինքը կարողանա իրականացնել եւ իր աղջիկ լինելը չսահմանափակի, ասենք, իր այդ ցանկության, իր այդ երազանքի իրականացմանը։ Թող իր երազանքները բոլորը իրականանան, այդպիսի հասարակություն թող լինի։